Happy Sunday, everybody. My name is Scott Mendenhall. So glad to be here. Just coming off an amazing challenge camp with the staff and volunteers here at Unlock Church. We had over 30 students, 40 plus human beings on our property doing an amazing camp. So we're going to talk about that a lot today. So if you're a first-time guest, you're wanting some context of what is the challenge camp. It's a camp that we do. We create from the ground up every challenge, every teaching, everything, even the food. Like when people say camp food, that doesn't work at our camp because we make food. It's not buy in bulk. We do what we would do for people, guests, all those things. It was pristine. It was high-class food, high-class activities. How are you doing, Lily, coming off of an amazing week at camp?
Doing great. I kind of wish we were doing it again this week.
Ooh, wow.
I'm ready.
Yeah, okay.
I'm ready to keep going.
If the results would carry over, absolutely. We got Joey who came in. He led the Navy SEALs to their victory 2 days this week. Joey, how you doing?
I am doing good.
How was camp from your perspective?
Great since our team won. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's fair. That's fair.
No, it was a lot of fun. Kids had fun, and you could obviously see God moving in kids' lives, and so it was a great week. Challenges were hard and fun at the same time. So it was overall a great week.
We have the picture of Joey when he was doing the individual challenge.
Oh, we do? We have a picture?
Yeah.
Can we put this one of the days? That's the logo. That is not the picture.
We're
Sorry
getting there.
about that.
We're getting there.
It feels like you're watching the Olympics all of a sudden where there's all this problems of technical difficulties. Yeah.
Look at how serious Joey is.
So here,
look at this guy.
Guy. She's trying to poke you a little bit on that.
No, I love how serious you are.
Yeah.
I've never seen you so serious in my life.
The Nicole right next to me as well.
Oh, stoic. It's
Both
stoic.
of you.
Some people are wondering, what in the world are you doing, Joey? Explain it, and then if you do it wrong, I'll correct you.
So as you can see, my hand was up by the ping pong ball. So we started with our hand up at the top, and we had to hold the ping pong ball with our arm completely straight. And after 5 minutes, we switched hands and went down a little farther. And then the last time we switched hands again, and then we did it for, I think it was like 10 more minutes. And so we had to try to hold it for as long as we could.
Yes.
And I was able to hold it the whole time. Very end, last 3 minutes, there's a couple times where my ping pong ball shook.
Oh man, there was a lot of arms shaking.
Honestly, the hardest thing was when a bug landed on you.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, oh, I want to get that thing off of me.
Yeah, we had a massive, like horseflies. Some people call them deer flies. I don't know. They're just not flies. They're something else. They bite hard and they suck your blood at the same time. And just in where we live, they're alive for 1 month, and that's July. And they were in full force because how much water we got running around here. So people were being bit. I thought people would quit the games this week because of the bugs, because mosquitoes were intense.
They did good.
But you should have bought stock in bug spray because cans were every day. I was picking up like 10 empty cans of bug spray because it was intense. Joey, you did good. That was impressive. I think we could have gone further, obviously, but we only had 2 people standing. And the other thing was with that ping pong ball, there were numbers 1 through 21 on the ping pong balls, and they randomly picked up the ping pong ball, and that's how many millions of points they would earn for their team if they could hold the ball on. So the more points you had, the more points you had, the more you had invested, and you had a $10 million.
10 million.
Oh, not that much. So
I think Dwayne would be pretty good at that.
Yeah, Dwayne, how do you think you'd stack up with holding a ping pong ball straight out on a PVC pipe for as long as you possibly could? How do you think?
I don't know. I'll have to come up and try it maybe next year.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Well, we saved them just for you.
Oh, yeah. We saved them for all kinds of people.
We're going to be doing them again.
Yeah, it was a good one. And we also.
I want to do it. I didn't get to do it.
Yeah, you should compete against Joey for how much you're giving him crap for.
Lily would.
I couldn't be serious.
But we also did a challenge. We gave him, Dwayne, a chance to study a quiz.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the week, where it was all about military things, because we also want them to learn.
You thought about me?
I don't know why.
Well, if I was out there,
because you were there for that day, and you were probably like, I have no idea what any of this is.
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna comment.
In some internal freaking out. I thought of you yesterday. I was like, Joey was probably freaking out because he didn't even know that this quiz existed. Yeah.
And so the questions were like, what's the longitude, latitude of the Pentagon?
It was not that.
But no, that was one of them.
That was one of the questions.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just didn't ask
Yeah.
it.
Oh.
I
She
should
didn't
have.
ask it.
In hindsight, why didn't I?
So those were the kind of questions they had. How many different armed forces are there, and name them?
You know, I didn't know the Space Force was officially.
Yeah, I feel like that should have been made
In
more
there.
a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Did you know that was part of
You
the
know
armed
that,
forces,
Dwayne?
Dwayne?
I did.
Oh wow, you're well done. Okay.
And
great.
what type of work are they doing?
Psh, putting missiles in space, of course.
Is that what they're doing? Like drones and stuff? We could talk about it later.
Yeah. Anyways,
Sorry. I'll ask
so we
my
did this
husband.
quiz, Dwayne, and if you got it wrong, you had to take a 5-gallon bucket of water and dispense it into 5-gallon buckets of empty 5-gallon buckets that your team were holding straight out. And so you got it
Okay.
wrong. You dumped water into your team's bucket, and so you just watch people. I mean, empty, it was hard enough. Putting water in there literally lasted about 1 minute.
Yeah, it was tough.
with
Try
2
it.
gallons.
Try it. Try holding out a 5-gallon bucket and then have someone just pour water, 2.5 gallons water, so like halfway full. See how long you can last. It was tough.
Lily starts shaking.
Yeah, my abs, my back, and my like shoulders were so I was like, this is not good.
And people are like, why did people do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the challenge camp. It's got to be challenging. It's to push people both mentally, physically, and spiritually. And that happened. It was wonderful, Dwayne. Just to watch young people realize they can do some stuff. And it wasn't about being athletic. It was about grit. You know, there's nothing athletic about a ping pong ball on PVC pipe. It's just, can you grit through it? Can you push? And so we're excited about it. Thank you for everybody that was praying this week. And those that are generous with your resources at Unlock Church, your resources directly impact camp. They help us be able to pour into the next generation and challenge them that, hey, God has a plan for them, and that they have a lot of stuff inside them they didn't know they had. So it's really special. So thank you for everybody's generosity. And if you want to give, you can. It's really easy here at Unlock Church. If you want to give your tithes and offerings, you can text the number 77977 to unlock using your smartphone. It's super not complicated. You just put it on there, and then there'll be 2 things that walk you through how to give. If you're like, you're going to watch this camp video here in a second, you're like, oh, I want to help that, and give to Unlock Church. We have high dreams of owning some kind of camp facility where we can do bigger and better camps. Because right now it's on my property. And, there's a stress that comes into that. Like yesterday, just everybody helps clean up. But as an owner, you got, oh, here's a PVC pipe we missed. Or, oh, here's this piece. And it's just part of it. You know, for the next week, we'll be finding all kinds of stuff throughout our property. And it's okay. But it's just part of it. It's like, man, you have a facility. Now all of a sudden you're making permanent games, bigger challenges. So you can help pray with that. But if you want to give, you can do that. Give your tithes and offerings. Or you're like, hey, I want a fun camp. We are already dreaming up camp next year because we love it that much. And speaking of camp, let's just show you really quick for those that call this home. This is your church. Maybe you were at camp and you're online today. I hear that Jen, we wore her out a little bit. Jen Woodham is worn out and she's not feeling the greatest today. She helped in the kitchen all week. And kitchen duty meant you were here early in the morning and left after cleaning up, and her family did a great job. Dan was here helping. They came all the way from Florida to help, which is phenomenal and very kind of them. And then Parker competed. But here is the highlight video from this week. It's not going to all make sense to those from the outside. You're going to have a lot of questions. You can text them. We might answer some of them for you. But this is what it looked like inside a week of the challenge camp. There's only one day that we didn't film anything because we were on water, and it's all about safety. Nobody's going to film. We want all eyes on safety. So you don't get to see that. Got to be part of camp for that. Here's the highlight video. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be right back. aware of your surroundings. We talk often about scenic beauty. Oh man, reliving that. I
So
see. We have
fun.
all context. You don't. You're just watching random stuff. Unless you were there, you're having flashbacks of good moments, intense moments, and in some moments I wish I would get to redo. Navy SEALs are the ones who pulled it off, which was Joey's team for 2 days. Nicole was a leader, and Nancy was a leader, and Taylor was a leader. They all kind of rotated out. Nicole was the permanent stick of the leader all week, so great job to the Navy SEALs. And one of the games, we locked them in a jail cell. They had to figure out how to get out. Joey was there that day. And we hid the key, one of the keys, in the poles. We had etched out just a little bit of a little slit to slide a key in, and they never found it. But Joey felt
there
like
in
it was
plain sight.
Plain sight.
Yeah, I literally had it in my mind, and I never shared it with my team.
Both teams had it in there. Lesson learned. But they did make a contraption to get out. It was pretty cool to watch. Seriously, to watch their ingenuity on how to do these things, how to build. It was so good. And one of the great things about having it here local is that we did what we call local love. We could send them out to some places to help them and serve them right in our backyard as a church. And that's really special to be able to just send them out a couple of the mornings. They painted. They cleaned one of the churches that help us in student ministry on Wednesday, and then we went and we packed 72 meals for some people down in the Dominican Republic, which will feed
72 kids.
Yeah, 72
That's what it
kids
was.
for a year.
Yeah.
Sorry, 72 kids we can feed for a year.
That's crazy.
That's what we did, which is pretty cool. Pretty special for us as a team to be able to know we are feeding 72 children for the next year, all because of summer camp and your generosity. So, Dwayne, when you watch that highlight video, are you like you got a lot of questions of what were they doing? Or are you just, as part of the leadership team, you're just going, oh man, that's pretty cool to watch?
Absolutely. Like, if you're watching this and you've never made the trip to Minnesota you have kids, you've never made the trip to let the staff, let Unlock Church love on your kids, like, it's unlike any church I've ever been a part of. Like, you should definitely make it a point to go to children's camp next year or go to the challenge camp next year. It's definitely, like Jen saying, that Parker loved it. I was laughing at the sliding down on the actual docks, because like flashbacks to camp, and I know how fast they're actually going down there, so that looked a lot of fun.
And did you catch they had to shoot a basketball into the hoop?
I did.
Okay.
I saw Joey make it.
Must have been on Instagram or
was that in
something.
the video?
Yeah, I saw it
was
on
in the video?
Instagram. Yeah.
There were highlights all week on Instagram too.
Joey
So
was
you
the
can go back and
first to
watch
make it. And everybody had gone like 5-6 times. So that's what, with 30 kids trying 5 times, do the math, right? 30 times 5 is what? Somebody help me. How many tries we had?
30 times 5?
Yeah, 30 times 5. 30 people
Well, that
win
would be
5 times.
150.
150, yeah.
150 times we tried?
150.
So 1 out of 150 tries, we made it. Then you stack on about 10 more tries. Yeah, that's what I screamed. I was like, the athlete. And then after everybody getting another 10 goes, only one more person made it. So out of 300 tries, 2 baskets were made. It was hard.
Wow.
It was hard. I don't understand why it was so hard. It was
Because you're going so fast
you're
down
moving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I was like, oh
They couldn't I kept going, guys, this is physics. You are moving, and you let go of that ball with your momentum, and you're going to throw it even faster than you. You got to slow this thing down. And they couldn't figure out how to they either would stop, they'd slow down too much. They couldn't figure out how to slow down sliding across. So they're flying, and it's so much fun to watch. I mean, it is hilarious to watch. And here's where they got to at one point. They would go, would you please not spray me? Because I'm spraying it to keep moving, and I'd spray
They
them.
asked so nicely.
Yeah, and I did.
Like
did.
it was like gonna help them
Yeah, they were-
tremendously, and it didn't.
What they were doing is they thought I was the issue. Well, if he wouldn't spray me, I'd make it. No one made it when I didn't spray him. So it was really fun. And then we layered them so there was drops down. And so, it was pretty fun. You would have laughed and you had a good chuckle at us trying to move that basketball hoop across the property because you couldn't empty all the water, so you're still trying to move it with water. And it was quite a hike. Joey, actually what we did is Joey stood in the back of the Ranger, and I said, Joey, just hold on. I'm going to pull it. And so he's holding this basketball hoop, standing on the back of the Ranger, and just dragging it across property is pretty funny. Pretty funny.
It was so fun.
It was fun. It was a good time. Okay, so here, let's get to the topic today. I don't know if the topic matches the title because I can't remember where Lily landed on it because we got camp brain.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I think it should.
Talking about slowing things down.
Yeah.
But where we want to start with, and we said this at camp, and pardon my crassness. I don't even ask him for pardon. I just say it. I don't think it's a big deal. But do you own your own crap? Your own messes. This is how we said it at camp. You got to own your own crap to be able to move on from your messes. If your messes are somebody else's fault, you're never going to own it, never change, never get any better. So, do you own your messes? I'm talking about, I don't know your age. We probably in the chat, we have a wide gap. But you have a past, and when you were 16 years old, do you own it? Are you willing to share your past with others? Here's how you know if you're going to own your stuff. If you freely talk about your past. All the stuff. Or there's spots that you won't talk about because, I'm just embarrassed by that. If you're still embarrassed by it, that means you haven't let the Redeemer redeem you or rescue that. Therefore, to be able to redeem that little dark spot in your life, needs to share to be able to prevent somebody else going down that road. Do you own your own crap? You know how many times, and we're going to use illustrations of camp because it's straight off camp. We watched, like I was saying with that swim slide, Dwayne, it was my fault that they weren't making the hoop or into the hoop because I was spraying the water, which was the water was what made them go. If I stopped spraying the water, it'd be like your skin on a basketball court, right? You just stop. But it wasn't them, and it wasn't physics. Physics was the problem. I was the problem. I was a lot of times what they thought I was the problem. Well, you made the rules. You made this impossible to win, and it's like nothing what we made or created was impossible. Were they hard? Yeah. For sure they were hard. One of the events Dwayne, you know what a big wheel is? We should have put a picture up of a big wheel. Okay, like from 1970s or something, right? Like that's where they were probably before one wheels. Man, we brought those out one day, and you would have thought it was a one wheel. They were so stoked about this big wheel. They're like, that's a big, I've never rode one. I've only seen it in shows. So we bought an adult version of a big wheel. They had to assemble it as a team. But while you assembled, you also, those that were not doing anything, had to run laps in the trails. And that's how we said it. If you're not doing anything, you have to run laps in the trails. And then after one lap, you rotated with the people building. So they had like 4 people building, and the rest would go do a lap and come back and build, which I just thought was crazy. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to create jobs. I was going to tear every page out of the handbook and give it to every person. And then when I came over, what's their job? They're holding page 1, 2, 3. They're stuff.
Smart.
That's how I saw it, but no one thought that. They just put 4 people on the big wheel to start building, and then he took off. And then that team would arrive, and they would look at where the team is on the big wheel as the other 5 people are taking off with no understanding where they are. No one communicated. They just took off. And they did a lap and came back. And then they kept doing it. It took them forever this was the Navy SEALs. It took them forever to build the big wheel. Actually, they did such a poor job of building their big wheel that their quality control was an issue inside the trails of their riding their big wheel. Because once you got your big wheel built, you had to do a laps in the trails. Well, their big wheel started falling apart. Wheels falling off, brakes wouldn't work. They ended up having to carry it out. They lost a nut. It was crazy just to watch it all implode of what they were doing. And it was when we asked them and we paused the game and go, okay, what's going on? They go, we just feel like we're walking in circles. We're doing nothing. We're just wandering. And why is that? Well, because you're making us walk and run the trails so we can't focus on the task at hand. And I just chuckled. I go, you think I'm doing that to you? I'm doing that? Or have you just not sat and thought hard enough how to do this? There's some of their issues, Dwayne, where they weren't communicate. They needed it as they were going to transition out, right? Those 5 people that just were working, they needed to say to them, hey, what needs to happen? All the bolts need to get tightened. Because that was what happened. All the nuts got put on, but they didn't tighten them. But they didn't tell the team that they needed to be tightened. They just took off. Whereas the Rangers, that's the other team competing, they started writing out instructions, Dwayne, on the dry erase board. Hey, these are the 3 things that need to get done because they were going to leave as soon as, right?
Smart, yeah.
So their big wheel got built faster. And the wheels didn't fall off. Literally did not fall off because of it. And they ended up being so far ahead in this event. Then as the big wheel was built, they were trying to solve a slide puzzle, where you have 1 square available and you slide a piece of wood or square ones. They did that, but it was 35. I had to do. It's 36 spots, but we took one away, so it's 35 squares they had to move. Right there it is, and they had to solve that puzzle. But only moving 1 square at a time. So there they are trying to study it because that's how it starts. It looks like that. And you had to put it in order of a phrase that was in their handbook. That's all the clues they had. And you can see to the left, the other team, the black pieces of wood over there, that's the Navy SEALs. Notice that they're missing because they're working on their big wheel. Why is Icon wearing a helmet? Because she rode the big wheel down.
Yeah, Presley, yeah.
Oh, Presley, sorry. That's Presley.
I think I have a photo of them on the big wheel.
So they're cranking.
I think.
They did realize that the big wheel going uphill is not desirable or enjoyable. There it is. That's going up the hill.
Two.
See the front tire. They said how much their legs burned so bad.
Yeah.
They're like the lactic acid. They didn't know it was lactic acid yet. Is they're too young. They're like, my legs hurt. They're rubbing them out and all that. It's hilarious. Not hilarious because like they're in pain, but they're realizing, oh, I'm not. The pusher isn't pushing hard enough. Nonetheless, that event for the Navy SEALs, it was me as the creator of the game. I was their problem, but watching it, I could clearly see that their mess, their crap in the moment was they didn't communicate. They got frustrated. And their morale just kept plummeting. But they looked at me as the villain in the thing instead of saying, oh, wait, what if we as a team are not doing? When we own our own crap going, this is my fault, this is my problem, we start looking at the solution right. We start doing the right steps and going, I'm going to fix this. As long as we can make it someone else's fault that's outside of us, we don't have to do anything. We don't need to do anything. So the first step in as we're talking on the fruit of the spirits, we see today is forbearance, but patience. One way to develop good patience in your life is to make the runway shorter. Meaning, own your stuff. When we own it, we don't have to rely on our active fruit of the spirit of patience. We go, no, it's my issue. And then activate the fruit of the spirit of patience, of being patient with yourself. We always think about being patient. I got to be patient on Lily. I got to be patient with Joey. And I do it at times. That's where we usually take patience, but patience with yourself. That when you realize it's your fault, give yourself some time to figure it out. But own it. If you're not going to own your stuff, you're never going to get out of debt. You're never going to fix your marriage. You're not going to fix that relationship. You're not going to fix the problem at work because it's everybody else's fault. And as long as it's everybody else's fault, I don't have to do anything. And therefore, you do nothing. Except for sit in crap. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So, that's the thought of the day. That's the setup. We'll give you a good song to think about. I love you, Lord, we're going with today. And just give you a second to just ponder that. What's the stuff, your mess, you got to own today? What's the things in your life you got to own today? When we come back, I'm going to tell you what happened when kids started owning their own stuff. That happened during camp. It was so special. So cool to be a part of. But I want you as an adult teenager to own your stuff. Stop giving me reasons why it's not working. Sing along this song and we'll be right back.
I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear, and let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ears. Oh, oh, sweet, sweet sound. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear, and let it be a sweet, sweet sound. Let it be a sweet, oh sweet. Let this be a sweet, sweet sound in your ears. Oh, come on. Come on, where you are, lift up a sweet sound. Come on. La, 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 la. Oh God. Sing it, sing it. La, 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 la. Oh, sweet, sweet sound. Oh, be glorified, Father. La, 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 la.
I feel the joy deep down in my soul. I feel the joy deep down in my soul. I feel the joy deep down in my soul. I feel the joy deep down in my soul. In my soul.
Joy because of all you have done for me, God. Joy for the sacrifice you made on the cross. That's the source of my joy. It's the work of the Lord. It's what He has done for me. It's what He has done in my life. the source of my joy. You are the source of my joy, God. You are the source of my joy. You're the reason that I sing, the reason that I worship. You're the reason for my joy.
That's just such a good chill song that the words are so powerful. Lily was saying, I love this version.
I do. It's so good.
It is so good. Just three people sitting in around a circle singing. Sometimes it's good to sit there and reflect. It's good to look at your life. Like sometimes when we aren't patient in our own life, it's because we look at our past and we've not dealt with it. And sometimes we got to deal with your past is to sit in the mess. Just sit in the mess, and you start realizing, man, what I need a rescuer, right? From the mess, I need a rescuer. I need somebody to rescue me. And I can remember Lily and I were setting up, was it the jail game? I think, and we were talking just different scenarios happening of camp and all those things. And we had just had the students go off to do their morning devotion. And then they came back and they got a half-hour team time. And so they're strategizing for the games for the day and all those things. And I came back and I said, hey, everybody into the briefing room. And so we had tents set up in the driveway where they came and sat because the bugs didn't seem to want to be on the driveway. So they were set there. We had stages, TV, sound system. It was really, really cool. And I just said, some of you guys today need to own your mess. Own your crap, I said. And they kind of chuckled. And I go, anybody this week, because remember, these are high school, middle schools. I go, anybody this week lose your temper at mom and dad or brother or sister this week? Because they're all striving to be an MVP at camp. And Lil, what were we saying all week an MVP at camp was?
An MVP is someone who exercises Jesus' principles, is leading through that, leading with just a compassion for others, but also a tenacity to win. And so, an MVP stands out, and that's what we were voting for this week.
And when she says we, it was the teams voting for their people, right? Not Lily or I. It was you're competing with your team, and your team's watching and knows the times you lose your temper and the times you don't, and all those different things. And so I go, some of you, if we had a camera on you when you were no longer at camp, would the team look at you and go, they are not MVP caliber. They're not of that standard. And so we asked those questions, and then we just said, some of you got to own your crap. You got to own the mess you made this week. You got to own that you lost it on your parents. But when you own it, you got to do something about it. If you don't do something about owning your crap, if it's just for you to go, I own it, I created the mess. No. Jesus is very clear. Very clear. So clear that he says it like this. Hey, if you're on your way up to the temple to make a sacrifice and you know you have a problem with someone or someone has a problem with you, get out of the line and go sort it out. Obedience is better than sacrifice is what he was saying at the time. And at that point, culture was about sacrifice. And when he's saying going up, you were going up steps. In the old law, you had to go, on your way to make sacrifices, if you're going up a step, you had to stop on a step and say a certain prayer on every step. We're talking about a process here, people. We're talking about when Jesus says this, the crowd goes, is he kidding? Like, 1, I traveled 4 hours to make this yearly sacrifice. 2, I've just walked on these steps for hours and stopping every time saying these prayers going up the steps. And you want me to get out of line and not give my sacrifice. And Jesus says obedience is better than sacrifice. When you own your mess, your crap, there needs to be an obedience to go make it right. Because most of our craps involve somebody else. Because we live with people. So most of our problems and issues are with other people. And have you taken care of that? Now, listen, I'm going to read some scriptures. But, really, we could leave you there. But we're not going to. We're going to help process this out in you owning your mess. Because some of this is you're praying, God, do something, fix this and all this. And God's like, and you're really frustrated with God because he's not fixing it. And God's like, until you own your stuff, until you ask forgiveness, there's nothing I can do inside that relationship. Until you own it. That's a crazy bit. Until you own your mess. Okay, so we're going to an old school book of the Bible, Isaiah. Isaiah is a writer in the Bible, an author in the Bible that he would hear messages from God and give it to the Israelites. And at this point in the stage of the Israelites, they're back to doing what they do best, which they were grumbling and complaining. Where's our Messiah? Where's our leader that's going to rescue us from this bondage? The Israelites had this history of going from doing right in the eyes of the Lord and then not. And typically when they didn't do right in the eyes of the Lord, they would be taken over by some kind of tyrant of another country or another tribe, and they would become slaves and all these things. So they're just frustrated, and they're getting angry and frustrated with God. And I love what Isaiah writes here because it's so spot on. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 13. Then Isaiah says, "Hear now, you house of David." So he's talking about this group of Israelites. "Is it not enough to try the patience of humans? Will you try the patience of my God also?" So he's trying to say, listen, you guys got an issue with patience. One of those things about being a human, we got issues with patience. Joey, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being 100% patient, where's your patience with, your kids?
It changes.
It changes.
I would. I'm gonna say a 6.
A 6.
I feel like
That's pretty high, actually.
I there are times where I'm very impatient,
Why do you think
but
that is?
I also think I am somewhat
Well,
of
yeah,
a patient
I'll give you
person.
that. You're very patient with me, but why is it that what creates the short fuse?
I think it's just stacking on top of each other,
Okay.
and then probably not confronting things right away, and then it just gets more frustrating, and then you just get
Drop
very
the hammer.
impatient. Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Dwayne? If you're ranking your patience, 10 being perfect, where are you at in just a general patience?
Yeah, I would go with Joey. Like it depends on I guess the actual what we're being patient with. Obviously, things like things that we've kind of talked about over and over again. For example, Harley taking her medicine in the morning. Like this is a everyday thing. Like it's nothing new. Like this is what you do. Or feeding the dog. Like this is what you do. I have very little patience when screens become an issue and things that we need to get taken care of doesn't get taken care of because of screens. So
Okay.
it depends on the thing. I think overall, I would say a 6 as well. Like I think I'm a very patient guy as well.
Okay. Lily, different question for you.
Okay, because I have no idea.
Well, no, you're gonna get 2, but I just thought this would be interesting.
Oh, sure.
With me in the office, but me to you, where would you rank my patience?
To me,
Yeah.
whew, I would say you're like a 7.
Really? That
Yeah,
high?
but the only time when he doesn't have patience, it's when we're doing something I say we, me or Holly, or anyone else that he's told to do something and then repeatedly does the opposite, like taking things on instead of delegating them. You don't have a lot of patience when we don't do that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
telling them to do that seems very
Not telling,
bossy.
no, not in a bossy way, but
Yeah.
like to help us,
Yeah. That it's more of
I
when
would say
we're
a
back
7
at the
though,
problem.
for sure.
It's trying to
Yeah.
problem solution, and then
Yeah.
it's like, well, we're still here.
Yeah.
7. Wow, I didn't expect that. Okay, then yourself. What would you say for yourself? It generally, let's just go inside marriage.
Okay.
Okay,
I think we're still honeymooning, so probably 9.
a 9. Wow.
An 8 or a 9.
I'm-
An 8.
I'm calling Jordan right now. See what if
He's awake. Go for it.
A 9. Wow, that's great. Okay. I wonder at home how you would score yourself in the patience thing. Now, here's the definition we've been using for patience. Now, this will be interesting to jump into the conversation because we're going to come back to this and land that plane. The conversation piece back to like that parenting thing. Here's the definition we are using for patience, forbearance, okay? This is, I care more about you than my own progress. When it shifts, we lose patience. I'm going to walk your pace because I care more about you than where we're going. You're more important than my destination. So think about that, Dwayne, when you talk about the screen time, because I'm sure a lot of parents are like, yeah, that's me. I lose it at that point. But how does that fit? Is that something else than patience? Right? Does that follow? And maybe this helps parents in parenting in it. Is that not patience? Is that a product of something else? But we get it confused with patience because when we use this destination kind of thing of like, I'm going to slow down, I'm going to go to your pace because I care more about where you want to go than me, that doesn't really fit for the video game thing or screen time, right?
No, definitely not. Definitely not, because like I guess, yeah, I don't know. Like it is different. I do view it differently in my mind because there's other things, personality, like just kind of their tendencies of where they naturally go, and it's like, okay, I'm more patient with that of coming alongside and helping coach that and helping kind of talk through that. But when it comes to things that we have talked about over and over again, that's the same, then I don't have patience, which, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of times when it comes to parenting, and I don't want to turn this into a parenting thing, we really need to launch our podcast for parenting because we want to help you. Joey's like, yes. What are you doing with your life?
No,
Scott?
you're busy.
But I
love
think
to listen to that.
I think what happens is that we categorize things wrongly, so therefore we handle them as parents wrongly, not out of purpose, like not on purpose. Like it's just, oh, I thought that was a lack of patience. I need to give him another chance kind of thing, versus if it sat in another category, you'd be like, oh, I know how to respond to this. So let me help for parents, because a lot of times your lack of patience isn't actually a lack of patience at all. It falls into the category of disobedience. And now it's not patience, it's they are disobedience. And now you have to act swiftly. So, Dwayne, I don't know context of what you're speaking of, nor do I need it right now. I'm just going to go in my experience of, if I tell my kids it is 1 hour on video games, and they are a second past 1 hour, I bring the house down.
What do you do?
Oh, it could be, we could bring Legend up here. There's been a time where he's lost video games for 3 months. I just bring down the house. And not in anger. I don't storm in. I'm not screaming. I'm just like, hey, you knew it. There's no second chances in disobedience and stuff. Because, again, I'm trying to teach them, like when it comes to godly principles, godly standards. You sin. Right? There's no, oh, yeah, all right. Jesus doesn't go, well, the first one's free. Right? No, it's a sin. So as parents, we are trying to teach our children how to handle when convicted, when, I'll use the word caught, but that seems a little bit not appropriate because God's not trying to catch us. But so as parents, we're trying to set that relationship up the rest of their life. We are their first example of that. So for me, I'm always going, is this disobedience, or am I tired? Am I losing patience because I want them to go to my speed? Where I lose patience on my kids is when like Legend and Epic were doing a project and it was going really slow. Remember this, Ledge? You were doing your guys' room, and I came in and I was like, you guys are going entirely too slow. This should not take all day, because I'm going from my perspective. I would have had this done already and moved on. And they're sitting in there scratching their head, reading the instructions every which way, upside down, backwards, to try to understand how to install something. And I lost it. I came in and then I walked out going, that was I wanted them to be at my speed. But when I get upset at them for their video games or real story last night, they got these gel blaster guns, all the kids did the other day, and so they could not wait to play them. And they're outside playing them. And
Is the stuff just getting everywhere?
the gel
But
blasters?
you don't care.
The gel blasters?
Yeah, like the stuff that they're shooting.
Yeah, who cares?
What is it?
Gel.
Oh. Does it just disintegrate?
Yep.
It's good for the environment.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm glad these are important questions.
Just curious. I was genuinely curious.
I know, and I'm glad I could answer these questions.
Okay, cool.
So
Sorry.
they're doing all these things. In Courage, his battery just died. Like their battery operated, and he shot a bunch, and he lost it. Walked away, stomped his feet, threw a fit, that to me is disobedience. He wanted to take somebody else's gun now, and he's saying, "Give me your gun. My gun doesn't work." And I was like, "Oh no, buddy, that doesn't work." And then he got disrespectful, and I didn't lose my patience. I just knew he was being disobedient, because one of the rules in the house is you are going to be respectful to every human and animal around here, and if you aren't respectful, you will be in trouble. So it's understanding when it comes to kids, what category is this sitting in? Did you tell them to clean up their room?
Yeah.
And they go do it. Dwayne, you have a thought.
No. I was just thinking that's good. That's good. Like that's good stuff. Like
Because I don't think when you're telling that story, and I don't have context, I'm just leveraging your story, Dwayne, there. But once you realize that, it's like, oh, I got to parent the right way. It's not a me thing right now, because so many times as parents we wear it. Is this my problem? Is my problem seeping onto this child? And it's like, no, you're frustrated with the child because they're not holding the standard of whatever you ask them to do. And how do many know this? Read through the scripture. Us as humans will try to always get away with as much as we can. In parents, we set a standard that every child knows, oh, it's the fifth time mom and dad tell me to clean it up, they're real. It's the system we've created. And so we've got to go, no, I'm coming back to you get one shot, and then you got to be consistent. And you have to be consistent in managing that and holding to it, because the first time you don't, they're going to go, oh, they didn't mean it. They didn't mean it, so I don't really have to listen to it. And they're not consciously doing this. This is just human nature. Just human nature. Because if we go back to the verse we were just reading a second ago, and we got to deal with our mess, Isaiah's going, isn't it enough to try the patience of humans? Now you're going to try the patience of God also? Yeah, we're always going to test the limits. Well, God being a God of compassion and kindness, he says this, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. A virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel. So God is giving the future to the Israelites. Hey, listen, this is the sign you're going to look for. Now, here's the deal. By the time this is stated and it happens, it's like 400 some years later. So this generation didn't even see it. They didn't even saw the sign. But for 400 years of silence, and people started going, losing patience with God. He's not going to do anything. He's forsaken us and all these things. And then all of a sudden the sign comes. And Luke says this in Luke chapter 2, verse 11. Today in the town of David, a son or a savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah of the Lord. Okay, this is wild, okay? Today is savior. Savior is a person that saves someone or something from danger or a mess. Need a rescuer? It's Jesus, the Messiah. He's the promised and expected deliverer from what? Israelites' bondage, our sin, and the Lord, the leader of our life. See, here's what some of our messes in our lives is when we make ourselves Lord, we mess up our lives. Now, I'm not talking about, like, there's categories for me. Today, it's all about categories, I guess. Surprise things like you get a doctor's thing saying, hey, you have this going on in your body. To me, that's a category of, wow, didn't see that coming. That chaos in your life is not you being the Lord of your life, unless it's a product of what you've done in your life, right? Like took drugs or alcohol, you're addicted to things, right? That could be, but I'm talking about, man, no, this is a total surprise. You are not doing anything in your life that will cause these things. Like, let's just say we'll use arthritis because that's not something we can really do to ourselves. Like, it tends to be just in your DNA. You get to know, hey, yeah, you got rheumatoid arthritis. This is what it's going to do to your body. And that can just like, oh, that's nothing to do with you being the Lord of your life. Debt tends to be us taking charge and being the Lord of our life. Relationship issues tends to be, a lot of times there's this, I chose to be a jerk, so therefore there's this problem. I chose to steal, so there's a problem, right? You should be able as an adult go, that was a product of me being the Lord of my life. See, when kids, going back to that, when kids choose to be the Lord of their life, they try to be disobedient and see what they can get away with longer. I know they said an hour, but if they're not going to check on me, I'm going to see what I get away with. Because they're being the Lord of their life. You and I do the same thing with God all the time. We've become professionals at it, and we can hide it and justify it. Kids, they don't justify anything. They're just like, well, you weren't around. And I know, as ages get, they should be able to, and I agree with this, they should be able to keep track of time. I tell Revolution, hey, you have 5 minutes to do this. That dude doesn't know the difference between 5 minutes and 20 minutes, right? I get that. So I'm not going to hold him to 5 minutes. I'm the parent going to make sure that I set the timer. But Legend at 16 years old, he better be setting his own timer. He better be paying attention to it. Here, again, we've turned this into a bit of a parenting tip thing, but don't create standards that you're not willing to enforce. Because if another parents are doing something and you go, that's successful, I want to do that. But if you don't hold the standard, you look like a crazy lunatic because you're just like, hey, this is the new rule. And then you don't do anything about it. They're like, there's no new rules. It sounds cool. But the expectation is not met with follow through. Mom and Dad, stop adopting things if you're not going to inspect. We've got to inspect. This is, again, you got to own your mess is inspecting your own lives. As parents, you got to inspect your parenting. Am I holding my kids to a set of standards I'm not even inspecting? Hey, go clean your room. Do you ever check their room? There's probably once a week, I'll come in, they don't know the day, and I'll just check the room when I've said clean. And then I like when I'm checking in, I'm checking under the bed. I kind of know all their little tricks. They think that they can just pull their blankets up over things on their bed. Like I wouldn't notice all the lumps and bumps on their bed, so they throw everything on there. And I pull the sheets back.
Legend's just in the corner going, are you going to put it on me so I can show them what you did? He goes, I do that.
Yeah, see? Or they
funny.
take the clean clothes that they haven't put away and they put it in the dirty clothes because then they have to put it away. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm on it. I'm on their strategy. So I come in and check those things like you've not worn this week. No, and then, right, the house comes down. They don't know when it gets inspected, but the inspection keeps them honest. See, we try to get away with God because we don't think the inspection's coming because we can't. But it's that conviction. It's, hey, when I talked about messes, do you got a mess to clean up? When we ask this question, okay, Savior is someone that is saving us from something, okay? The Messiah is the deliverer, that there's a way out of your mess. And the Lord is, once you get out of the mess, stop going back to your mess. Stop getting back into the crap. Stop creating the mess. When we presented this to students, we want to put some pictures up. This was their response because we said, hey, Jesus says this, love God with all of your mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. 3 things. And we said, you got any problems in a relationship, go fix it. So there's 2 sitting there. We're going to thumb through it. We have no idea the context of any of these things, but they're just people talking to people. We gave phones back, and they're calling moms and dads. And
hug. There's a hug in the background of that one.
There's hugs in the background of that one. 2 siblings talking there.
Phone call on the other side.
A whole team comes together and prays after it. I mean, it was a moment in the driveway where kids said, I'm going to own my own crap.
It was amazing.
And they they called immediately. They had to come and ask us. Hey, can I have my phone back, please? So it wasn't like it was not public. It was apparent. Oh, Oh, I wonder what their story is about. And no one's asking because it's between them and their parents, but they're calling their parents and apologizing. They're fixing the mess. I think if they can do it, so can adults. And I think adults should be doing it more and be more public about it. What happens to us is we try to hide our messes. We try to hide our crap all the time. And so in doing that, we don't... we want to be so private in it, we don't give God credit. At the end of the day, it should be, no, I'm just over here apologizing to my husband because, man, I just freaked out. I'm apologizing to my wife because I said something I shouldn't have. I had to apologize to my kids because I said something I shouldn't have. When caught in your mess, or you got to fix it. That's why I like it better. You got to own your own crap, because who wants to keep sitting in crap? I mean, anybody that's been a parent for very long, you got newborns. You don't want your newborn sitting in crap for very long. It does things to the butt that is just not. It's not good. Not good, right, Joey?
Right.
Did you hear what I said?
Something about the butt.
Yeah, he's in the chat. He's in the chat. But you have a newborn. If a newborn sits in their crap for very long, it's not good for the butt cheeks, right?
No.
Then it's more of a mess for you guys.
Yeah.
As parents.
Well, it's a mess for everybody, because that poor little child now has like just diaper rash.
Yeah.
It's not good. And I know other people are like, oh, stop talking about crap. No, I just think when we don't own our mess, it's the equivalent. And what I think the response today needs to be, hey, if number one command is love God with all of your heart, mind, and soul. And then equal to, not second place, but equal to, is to love your neighbor, and your neighbor's everybody else. Mm-hmm. Everybody else. And yourself. We gotta clean this up, because we're all humans. We got stuff. We gotta own it. And the best bit is when we own our craps. It's so cool, because now I'm gonna come to Lily and go, listen, I gotta own my stuff. I'm having a struggle. While I'm struggling through this, will you help me and do this? Joey, I'm struggling with this. This is what's going on with me. This is my mess, but I need help with my mess. That's better than saying, you've made a mess in my life. You're the cause of it. Man, 24 years of doing camps. You know how many times I've had parents come to me and say it's my fault? That their child's doing something or not doing something? And inside my heart is like, wait, I get your child maybe at camp I get them for a week, so I have 7 days. But they have them for 360 or 300. Somebody's going to go, oh, well, 7 days minus... But let's just go. You have them for the whole year. 7 days. I cannot correct 7 days. Or in 7 days, you can't correct 365 days of something else. It's got to be owning. Oh, like, hey, my child is behaving this way because I'm not holding to the line. I'm not calling disobedience out when they're being disobedient in our house rules. I mean, there's not much more I need to say on it. I think everybody should get it. I think your homework is you better be calling somebody.
Yeah.
You should be calling somebody. Like, don't wait. One of the students, it was such a cool conversation. Oh, when should I do that? I want to do this, but can I just do it later and not call? And I was like, no, because this is 9 hours away. A lot can happen inside 9 hours. Oh, I'll wait till I see him at the family reunion. I'll wait till they get home. No. Start the conversation. Don't do a text thing. We told the students, no texts, phone calls. And then, hey, we'll talk about it when we get home today. But I just want to know, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry for what I did. And I don't know all their stories. Or my best friend, I'm sorry that I did this. This is my own crap. I got to own. You got to say sorry fast and own it. Remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about the games we play a little bit in relationships, and we blame. So it's like professional blaming is, Lily, I'm so sorry I did that. But if you would have done this, right now all of a sudden it's really all your fault still, and I'm not really sorry. It's not going to apologize and blame it on them. There's freedom in this when we own our crap. Don't just tell me, Like, it's cool if your personality is I'm just shy. I don't want to talk. That's cool. I'm all for that. But if it's because you don't want to let people in because of your past, then you're not dealing with your crap.
That's good.
You're living in a cell that the Messiah, Jesus, wants to come and save you from. Leads you out of. He wants to be the Lord. And this is where Jesus can be the Lord in your life. This is how the Lord is the Lord of your life. When we hear these kind of conversations, the Lord of your life will be tapping you on the shoulder saying, go fix it. You know to fix it, but you're afraid to fix it because you're going to be embarrassed, feel shame, and all the. That's the enemy trying to get you to do that, to feel shameful and all those things. This is where Jesus is like, I want to be the Lord of your life. Call him now. Fix it now. Make relationships. Stop doing life alone. You look around and go, I don't got that many friends, and you want to blame it on everyone. No, it's because you're choosing to be a recluse. You're choosing to do life alone. It was crazy to watch this week. These young people struggle in different areas, but they wouldn't say anything to the team. And you're like, well, why did you struggle like that? And why did you have to let that? Well, it got heavy. Well, no one told you couldn't ask for help. I didn't want to distract anybody else. And it's like, but you lost the game because you were unwilling to ask for help. Some of you, you're like looking around going, I'm doing life alone. And well, are you asking for help? I tell my kids all the time when they're struggling on something, they got their mess going. You know what they want? They want somebody to come around and go, oh, I see you. What'd you say this week, Lil? What was the words you used about seeing somebody?
When you walk into a room, don't be a here I am person, be a there you are person.
That's a good one. I mean, we got to get better at that. But when people are expecting somebody else to see, oh, you're having a bad day, that's on you, not them. That's called manipulation. So if you're still doing life and I wish people would notice me, no, are you noticing other people? Are you noticing other people? Because if you're not, if you're doing life alone, that's just not how it's meant to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. So I don't need to say much more. I'm going to pray, and I hope that we get text this week that, hey, I called and made it right with my coworker. I called my daughter who I haven't spoke to in a while. Because I said some nasty things about her to her face, and I'm going to go and fix that. I got to talk to my neighbor in my apartment complex because I threw a big party and I didn't care if I kept them awake. You just got to own your crap. Got to own it. I mean, and then parents, in that patience thing, you got to sit there and do a little bit of homework. Is it lack of patience or lack of holding to your guys' rules in the house and letting them get away with something? There's a lot to ponder there. And I hope everyone knows this in Dwayne and Joey, as you are the resident parents. I thank you for allowing me to always leverage your stories and not know all the ins and outs of it. But I don't get all this right. You know what I mean? I'll use my wins a lot of how I hold things. But what I love it, Dwayne's been here a lot. Joey sees ins and outs of us parenting, and we don't get it right. I would write a book and tell you all the things I got wrong because we have got a lot of them. So I'm not coming from an aspect of perfection. But there are some things that we can take and apply into our entire lives. So I hope you got something out of it today. Dwayne, will you pray for us today?
Yeah, absolutely. Dear God, just thank you that you are a patient God. Even when we fall short of that, that you're still patient with us as we're working on our patience. God, I pray this week you give us the courage. Everyone has something on their mind that they're thinking about, that they've lost patience on, they've done wrong, they haven't owned their mess. God, I pray that you give us the strength the courage to step out and to make that right, and not to justify it away, but just to own our mess. God, thank you for the awesome week the students had, where they just sought you more. They learned about you. I pray that you would continue to work in their lives throughout, throughout the the challenge every week or whatever means you have in place for them. I pray that they just stay hungry to seek after you. And God, just give us safety as we go our separate ways today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dwayne, for being with us today. Always a good time to see you. Next week, we're talking about kindness. Dwayne, really quick, because you're Dwayne the Wise. What's the difference between kindness and love?
Kindness and love. Kindness doesn't doesn't really. Yeah, kindness.
It's a tough one.
It is I feel like love is
Encompasses.
it's a relationship there. Kindness is, it doesn't matter who it is, you're just going to do it because that's the right thing to do.
Nailed it.
That's really good.
That's good, Dwayne. See, Dwayne the Wise right there.
He's so wise.
Joey's trying to process that. You have all week to ponder it,
Yeah.
Joey, and we'll be back with it. That's what we're talking
Better
about next
text
week.
me because I'll forget exactly what he said.
Oh, my gosh.
Joey.
I need it written down so I can ponder it all week.
Yeah, ponder
All right,
it. Okay,
I'll
he'll
text
text it.
you.
Thank you.
Dwayne, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next Sunday
Bye, Dwayne.
online as
Bye,
well.
guys.
Have a
Bye.
great Sunday. Joey, thanks for being in here. Thanks for being with us all week at camp as well. A couple of those days. Lily, great job this
Joey.
week at camp.
Yes, it was so fun.
Have fun getting to rest up this week.
You too.
Legend and Steven, thanks for running
Thanks,
the tech stuff
guys.
today. Always a pleasure to have
Love
you
these
in
boys.
the house. Everybody else watching today, share this with a friend. We love you all. We'll see you next week. Bye guys.
Bye.